It's not yet for sale. It is effectively a product. It's being worked on. It's being productionized as we speak, but it's not yet on the market. But it will be. And that came out of this company which I formed with the aim of doing good, and somehow the company led to this, which is a commercial product meant for the developing world. Now, as I saw that the company I had formed was moving off in another direction and not doing what I wanted to do with the technology I had created, I stepped away from that company and I set up an entity I founded with a colleague, David Crosby, who'd been my student. We founded an entity called the Centre for Vision in the Developing World. And the idea there was to effectively continue this work and do what we could to bring vision correction to billions of people. In fact, a very dear friend of mine, Mehmed Khan, said to me, what's your vision? About 3 or 4 years ago. And I said, get 1 billion people wearing the eyeglasses they need by 2020. And he said, that's good. So that became effectively the vision, if you like, of the Centre for Vision in the Developing World. Get 1 billion people wearing the eyeglasses they need by 2020. But that's a big goal. So, and this the Centre for Vision in the Developing World, something I founded and actually funded initially myself. So, one of the and then our Centre for Vision did a little bit of research paid for by the National Health Service and something else, and a number of people joined in, and what a very interesting next event, if you like, was that in August 2010, a gentleman sent me an email. His name is James Stevenson. James sent me an email. He's a senior marketing person at the company Dow Corning. Now, Dow Corning actually makes the fluid in all these glasses. The fluid is a high refractive index inert silicone fluid, and I'm sort of getting slightly historically out of kilter here, so because this didn't exist. James comes along to see me, and he says to me, we at Dow Corning have been following your work for a long time, and we think it's important and we like the work. And that is certainly true, because they had always made available for humanitarian purposes this rather special fluid at a very reasonable cost. And he said to me, James said to me, what is the most important thing we could do now to help your work? So what I did, well, in fact, this didn't exist. This paper didn't exist when I met him, but we had done the research. We'd done a clinical study of. Let me go back a step. I have a very, very close dear friend at the World Bank. His name is Don Bundy. Don Bundy's passion and job is to make sure that children in the developing world can have good health and a good education. That's his job, and that drives him. Now, Don has known about my work, my vision work, since we were introduced by Michael Wills years ago. And Don's a clear thinker, and he had been pressing me for years and saying, look, couldn't you use this technology to get vision correction for children? And initially I was skeptical. Well, I said, I don't want to do that now. Let's show that it works with adults. But Don provided, from World Bank resources, he provided funds for a meeting the meeting on child vision, the now called the first child vision meeting, I think, in Oxford in 2007, and that meeting decided that we should look to see whether myopic, i.e. short-sighted teenagers could use this approach to make their own eyeglasses. Why would we want to do that? Well, research suggests that there are perhaps 100 million, of order 100 million teenagers who are sufficiently myopic that they around the world that they can't see a blackboard in the class. So this becomes a bar to their education. So effectively, if you can find a means of giving them clear distance vision in class, that is a great aid to their education. In fact, it can mean the difference between getting an education or not. So Don provided. We decided in 2007 to research whether myopic teenagers could self-refract, and that research was carried out in China. There were the study was called the Child Self-Refraction Study. It was carried out in China and America. We studied the intention was to study 3 groups of about 500 teenagers in each of the 3 groups, 2 in China and 1 in America. We had one study in rural China, in an area called Shantou, and another in Guangdong, I think it is, an urban area. And then we had a 3rd study in inner city Boston, and the study subjects aged between 12 and 18, and they were myopic up to -5 diopters. And that study, 2 of the studies have now been published in peer-reviewed journals.